Hey, y'all, I am so excited to introduce our next speaker. Not only is she a phenomenal woman, but she is my friend as well, which makes it even more fun. But y'all welcome Esther Piszczek. Been practicing her name because even though she's my friend, I'm going to say it wrong a lot. But welcome, Esther. So Esther is a certified Zentangle teacher. She is an intuitive coach and spiritual channel, and she's also a heart work journaling instructor. And that's where I met her, in heart work certification. She also was an attorney. She was a practicing attorney, and she left the law practice in 2008 so she could live a more creative life, which is very, very exciting. One of her greatest joys is assisting those seeking their essential value and helping to share their gifts with the world. So, welcome, Esther.
Thank you, Patrice. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited. So, as I tell all my speakers, I like to start off with kind of the same question because we all have a journey, and I kind of like to end with the same. So, I would love for you to share with us your journey through your healing process of whatever it may be. And you don't have to like go and dive deep and go, oh my goodness, this happened. But whatever your healing journey was that led you here today.
Okay, my healing journey really stemmed from chronic illness in my early 30s. And I was just getting sick year after year for months at a time and taking a lot of antibiotics and allergy shots and all sorts of craziness. And one of my good friends said to me, Esther, you're too young to be this sick. What's happening? And so that resonated with me, and I kept thinking about it. The pharmacist shouldn't know me on a first name basis when I'm like 33 years old. It was my first year of my marriage, and I had been sick for years before, a couple years before that. But that was when it was 2005 when I really started to say, all right, what's happening here? And so I started out on a whole life shift and thought, how can I not be this sick anymore? And so I investigated yoga and meditation and chanting and eating, all sorts of different eating practices. So I studied with a macrobiotic practitioner for a year or more. Started seeing a naturopath, did homeopathy, anything that I could find that I could experiment with to feel better, I did it.
Wow.
And so then at that point, I was still practicing law, and I had been really feeling a struggle within myself and the practice of law at that time, which ties into this whole chronic illness thing and also the discovery of all these new modalities that I was experiencing to try to feel better. And so what I was recognizing is that I really had a lack of creativity in my life. And so at one point, I actually retaught myself how to knit because I had learned as a child. And so I retaught myself how to knit, thinking, oh, well, this will solve the whole thing. And it wasn't enough. So I was going through a real mental practice. So I was a criminal prosecutor at the time, got married. Then I thought, well, if I leave criminal law, then I will be able to not have all of this, suffering and pain about, all of the terrible things that people do to each other every day, like worrying about my watch. And so we moved to New Hampshire. We were in Boston at the time, and I moved to New Hampshire and did environmental law, thinking, well, that would make it better. And I ran into the same problems. So in 2008, I hit a big black wall where I just couldn't function any longer as a prosecutor, as an attorney, and I just left.
Wow. It's amazing. Well, I am not that I want to see anybody have to go through a journey like you have been through, but it's led you to some amazing things, which we're getting ready to talk about. And one of the things, of course, I met you in certification, but one of the things that drew me to you instantly was Zentangle. So you're a certified Zentangle instructor. And I'll have to tell you, when I first heard that, I had no idea what Zentangle was. I honestly sat there and thought Is she tying knots into a piece of yarn or string, or what is this? And then you had this phenomenal video that I watched of you doing Zentangle on a white piano with a black marker. And I cried from start to finish. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And then I've taken a couple of your classes, which one time I cried all the way through that class too. So it just really resonates with me. So that's the reason I wanted you on here today. So you can tell us a little bit about Zentangle. So what is Zentangle? And y'all, I can let you know it's not tying knots in a piece of yarn.
No. And it's not crying with a pen in your hand either.
It's not. It's just, it touched me just touched me so deep. It helped. Yeah, I think that one class that I took of yours, I had so much pent up anxiety that to actually just take this very mindful time and slow my thoughts, it just released so much. So,
yeah. Well, there's actually a scientific reason for that happening. So I'll just tell you about this really briefly. Left brain, right brain. So your left brain is your analytical language side, math side, and the right brain is your intuitive side, your artistic side. And so both have a voice. And this was part of the struggle that I had as an attorney, is that I was very left-brained, being an attorney, analytical, analyzing all the time. I was an appellate attorney for years after I was a trial attorney. And my right-hand side, that creative side, didn't have a voice. And so it was pretty much shouting at me saying, I need some way to express myself, and it can't express itself through language. Right. And so it expresses itself when you're drawing, you're actually using your hand in a left brain way, but your heart is what is speaking through the line. And so that is what brings out all of those emotions and allows you to release things without all of the mental gymnastics that people usually have to do if you're sitting on a psychiatrist's couch or something. So it's a really healing practice to just pick up a pen and draw and allow that to come out. So Zentangle was created by Rick Roberts and Maria Thomas in Massachusetts. And Rick Roberts was a Zen monk at one point and makes Native American flutes and plays them. And then Maria Thomas is a really well-known calligrapher and watercolor botany person. So she's just beautiful watercolor plants, and she's just an amazing artist. And so Rick wanted some artwork done on his album cover for his flute playing, and so asked Maria to do it, and they got together, and they are longtime partners with kids, and they created this beautiful, really accessible art form called Zentangle, which is non-representational. So you don't have to know how to draw a boat or a fish or a lake or a profile or a landscape. You can just draw simple lines, so simple repetitive lines. And patterns go way back to, cave drawings and drawing on the sand with stick. But it's the Zentangle method of pattern drawing is the method of drawing on a 3.5-inch square tile with a 0.1 micron with pencil shading. And then not every pattern is a tangle. They call them tangles, but there are certain parameters that go with that. But anyway, it's super accessible, which is what I love about it, because you really just need a pen and a piece of paper. So if you have a pen and a magazine at the doctor's office, or your grocery list in line at the store, or a crossword puzzle, you can be creating not only beautiful art, but moments of peace and calm within yourself, because drawing those repetitive lines just automatically kind of zones out your brain and allows you to really become centered.
And I can attest to that. Y'all, when we first came on this interview, before I actually hit record, I was trying to find, my little piece of paper that I was actually Zentangling on. And it's just, now it's become such a practice for me. So I absolutely love that. And there's also a no approach or no mistake approach to Zentangle, which I love. So could you explain a little bit more about that?
Yes, it's the thing that I love most, because being a former prosecutor, I have a real perfectionistic personality. And so Zentangle, and I was always drawing patterns since I was really young. But Zentangle, one of the main pieces of it is no mistakes. And no mistakes means no erasing. And no erasing means no erasing ever. And you will come across certified Zentangle teachers that do erase and encourage their students to erase in ways, but I'm a purist and traditionalist. And so this practice has been really, really healing for me to have the opportunity to draw. And when I draw, to say, okay, that's not what I intended. So what else is there? And that's when you create really magic, because your brain could never have come up with those things, but your body is showing you new ways of doing things. And if you can drop all of the judgment and the criticism and the expectation, then it allows you to create new things in a safe container of ink on a page. And so I tell my students that it's lovely to make beautiful art and it's wonderful, but teaching you patterns is not really what we're doing here. What we're doing is practicing feeling uncomfortable on the page, so that when we get out into our real life and bigger things happen with bigger consequences than a little smeared ink, then we can say, oh, I know what this feeling is. I've dealt with this before. I know how to make this better, because you're practicing all the time with your pen.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And doing, now that I've practiced, through some of your classes and courses, you do make a mistake and it can happen. But then when you continue on, sometimes you lose that mistake, or you turn that mistake into something beautiful. And that's what I loved about the no mistake approach, because when I started, I was just doing little 2x2 squares of piece of paper that I had laying around. And I was like, oh, I messed this up. And so I just flipped it over in the beginning. But then I went and flipped it back over and continued it. I had to practice the no mistake approach, which I loved. And now I have those little pieces of paper in a pickle jar that I keep. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love the no mistake approach. So you don't have to go in thinking you have to be an artist. It's okay.
No, in fact, you need zero experience. I mean, literally, if you can hold a pen and draw a line, sign your name, scribble your name, you have absolutely everything you need to be a fabulous, fabulous Zentangle artist. And the thing that I tell my students is that if you draw a line with a ruler today and you continue that for 20 years, in 20 years, you will be no better at drawing that line than you were today. But if you draw a line today without a ruler for 20 years, that line will change. And it's just practice. People say, how is your lines are so straight? This is so this. I'm like, it's just practice. You just pick up a pen and you keep doing it. In fact, one of the amazing things that happened for me with Zentangle is that my handwriting improved. And not because I was trying to improve my handwriting, but because I was becoming more familiar with using a pen in a new way.
Yes. And slowing down. That was one thing I really liked about your classes, is we slow down from the very beginning. Before we ever pick up our pen, we're slowing down. But in the first few classes, I was very stiff and I was rushing myself. And Esther has this amazing way of like, okay, loosen the grip on your pen. And I tell myself, even now when I'm writing journaling and I'm like, and I'm so gripping my pen, I just stop and breathe sometimes. And it's like, okay, you don't have to break the pen, Therese. You can just write. So it is a great approach to changing your mindset about a pen and a piece of paper. Love it. So for those that are like me in the beginning and did not know what Zentangle is, how do you get started?
Well, you can go to zentangle.com, which is Rick and Maria's official Zentangle site, and explore there. They have a blog and they have project pack videos that you can draw along with, which might be a little bit intimidating to start with if you don't know anything about Zentangle. So tanglepatterns.com is a site that has all kinds of patterns, and that's where I started. I mean, I started with the official site and getting their kit, which has all the supplies in it, but you don't need fancy supplies. You don't need to spend really any money. If you have a piece of paper and a pen, you can start right now today. And I always encourage my students to write and draw on envelopes, even with a highlighter. Draw on envelopes, draw on your bill envelopes, draw on your birthday card envelopes. It does not have to be beautiful. It's just practice, and it will be admired by others who are not brave enough to pick up a pen or a highlighter and make marks on a page and send it out into the world. So you can start with tanglepatterns.com. There's a little pink alphabet line at the top, and you just click on a letter, and then it has all of the visual step outs for how you draw a pattern. So the first step will be in red, then that will be in black. The second step will be in red, and you just copy what they're doing. That's really it. You just draw what they're doing, draw in delightful ways, draw it wherever you want, draw as much as you want, and try something new over and over again. And you can visit my YouTube channel, which I have my Zentangle Explore classes on there, and they're an hour or less. So it's really a short bit of time, and you just need a pen and a little square piece of paper and just draw along. And that class is really fabulous because it's all about exploring and trying new things and really breaking yourself out of the barriers of, well, I have to do what the teacher says, and if I do it wrong, then I have all this judgment about it. So it's really about releasing any of those expectations. And that class started with Amy Miracle's work. So I'm just going to plug her work for a half second here because she is amazing, and she has changed my relationship with my pen and with my breath. And she is the one who really encouraged me to slow down and take risks. And so Amy Miracle does beautiful work out of Mindful Art Studio is her site, and she does slow drawing parties on Wednesdays, and she has a Draw Yourself Calm book that just came out this fall, which is beautifully done and really helpful and inspiring. So she draws patterns from nature, and I draw Zentangle patterns. So we're doing a little bit of a different thing, but yeah, she has changed my life.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. So Esther, which I have to flip my paper over, she is offering a freebie for us, which is a Zentangle Explore henna drum. And that will be underneath this video. Y'all can click on there and take advantage of that. But what is a Zentangle Explore henna drum?
Well, Zentangle Explore is the name of the class, and
Okay.
henna drum is the name of the pattern, and it was created by Jane McCougler, who's a certified Zentangle teacher. And I just love that pattern. It's super, super fun and floral and decorative and organic. And some people like really angular patterns with strict lines and boxes. And some people like organic flowy patterns. And I really love organic flowy patterns. So it's a super fun pattern to draw. So it's just an example of one of the classes that I do on Fridays at noon Central Time. And yeah, it's super fun and easy. And I hope people love it. And it will look beautiful on envelopes.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm not sure if I've done that, the henna drum from your class yet, because I've missed so many lately. So I'm
They are there
excited to
for
go
you.
try that. Yeah, I'm excited to try that one. So y'all should really, when you go, no expectations, just leave everything at the door, because you don't have to know. You don't have to know what you're doing. Just need the pen. And I think my first one was a pink pen that I did, and I absolutely loved it. So y'all join that class. And
I have a question for you, Patrice.
yes.
You have shared with me about your mental focus changing through the practice of Zentangle. And would you be willing to share that with your listeners?
Yes, I would love to share that. I'll share it right now. In fact, I am very ADD, and so just as in life, I can't stay focused, and I will bounce from thing to thing. Or just let's take cleaning your house. I can't clean a house properly because I will start in the kitchen, and halfway through doing the dishes, I'm like, oh, let me go scrub the toilet. And then the toilet may not even be flushed yet with all the cleaning supplies. I'm like, oh, let me go strip the bed and make the bed. Or, that is what my brain is all the time. It's about 1 million computer tabs open, and I can't focus on one tab to shut it down before I go to the next. So the focus that I found in Zentangle was when I started with my pink pen and my little 2x2 square, it was, let me get through this really fast because I made a mistake on this one, so I could flip it over and do it the right way. But then when I flipped it over, it wasn't the right way either. It was totally different. And the one I learned, it was these little swirls. I call them swirls. I don't know what they were, but I would get upset if a little line touched another line. I'm going to draw this out. So it was these little lines, or little, I don't know what they're called, but you see how this one touched? in my first class, I got upset because I'm like, the line shouldn't touch. But then you would say, take a deep breath, release the pen, the grip, slow, mindful movements. So when you do exactly what you said, and I slowed down and I slowed my brain down, I found that it changed and I was able to do what it told me to do, what my pen did, how my hand moved, because I slowed my thought process down. So it's practice, because sometimes I'm pressing so hard on my little piece of paper that you can see the indentation. And if I see that, I will tell myself, you're not in the practice of calming down. You're not doing this mindfully. Release your pen, take a deep breath, and start again. And I don't start again on a new piece of paper. I just start again on my same piece of paper. And it doesn't have those deep ruts in it. So it changes my mindfulness. It changes it today. If I'm not have a pen in my hand and my thoughts are going everywhere, I will tell myself, let go of that tight grip, and let's think this differently. So the mindfulness is, for me, is what I needed to slow down and methodically think through things instead of pop into a tab to another tab to another tab without closing it. So now I feel like I can shut a tab down and then move to the next now.
Yeah, that's
Did that
great.
answer your question?
That pattern is called Printem, Printemps, and that is a Zentangle original tangle by Rick Roberts and Maria and
And I
Thomas.
love this. I do this in between other things all the time. So I might draw something else, but then I will connect whatever I drew to my next picture by doing these Zentangles right here. So yes,
Yeah.
that's how it helped me. And I practice it even if I'm not on your class. I still practice it. I was doodling the other day in my journal, and I was just writing, and then I drew something, and it was just not going in the way I wanted it to do. Not that journaling is supposed to, but I wasn't slowing down. As soon as I slowed down, my words flowed. And then I doodled something, and then it just kept flowing and flowing and flowing. So it's magical. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. So I was going to ask you one tip to share. And my one tip, if in Zentangle, is just slow down in life and on paper. So that's what I've learned from Zentangle. I would love for you to, one quick tip that we could quickly implement in our journey. What would that be?
Breathe. Breathe, everybody, breathe. We breathe all the time from the minute we're born to the minute we die, and we pay attention for like a fraction of that time. Breathe. Really, your breath is your companion, just like your pen. And it's always with you, and paying attention and noticing and really just feeling yourself breathing and having gratitude for that breath. It's life-changing.
It is. It is. Well, Esther, thank you so much for sharing Zentangle with us. And y'all check her out. Check out her YouTube channel. Definitely click on that free gift, because me talking about it and maybe even Esther explaining it, you just don't get it until you actually practice it. And to me, it's life changing. It's something I enjoy and something that I catch myself doing a lot. You know, one more thing, just driving down the road the other day, I grabbed a pen and a paper because I knew we were traveling to the north and it was going to be bumpy roads. And I just grabbed a little journal that had nothing in it and a pen, and didn't have to draw or write. I just Zentangled things, just little shapes to keep my focus off the road, and just knew my husband was going to kill us driving, but it actually helped in situations that way too. So I do use it a lot in life. But thank you.
Yeah. You are welcome.
Okay, y'all. So this was a phenomenal interview, and I'm so happy about it that I think I'm gonna get off and like actually go Zentangle in my journal, because I just love it that much. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Hope that you got a lot out of it, and thanks so much, Esther.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.